Gillian and I started working after Christmas break, and the first 2 weeks felt a little awkward. You know, I didn't really feel like I wanted to do longer scenes. I was just fine running around. And then as soon as Gillian and I started working, and it was Mulder and Scully, then I kind of remembered what it was all about, and you know, that relationship kind of anchored my performance, just as I think the relationship anchors, you know, this film.
Summertime. I didn't have all the running around that David had to do. But I did have my own unfortunate beginning, which was to start with one of the most difficult scenes for Scully in the film, and where she, you know, it's later on in the script, and she goes through a range of emotions in confronting Billy Connolly's character, and I had a really hard time for those first couple of days that scene was, and I couldn't. I had a really hard time just finding her voice. I think I must have gone through 10 other characters in the process of trying to get to her, when I assumed that on the first day I'd be able to show up and it would just be there. And it wasn't until I think day 3 when we got to work together in a not just in a it wasn't necessarily a familiar environment, but the environment of each other and the relationship, and that it kind of felt natural and familiar, and then I felt like I'd landed for the first time.
I was just curious. The film was very sort of heartfelt, thought-provoking. I think similar to some of the early episodes and stuff. And I was just curious if that had a factor in you guys coming back after all that.
No, I mean, my coming back was not based on the script. It was at this point, you know, I have almost complete blind trust in Chris and Frank to come up with the goods. So my only concern was that it should be a standalone. I didn't think it should be something that you needed specific knowledge of the X-Files to enjoy. And, you know, when I read the script, I saw that it was that. Other than that, I had no hopes or plans for what this would be. I mean, I just knew the world that we made and the world that Chris and Frank would remake was going to be satisfying to me, you know.
Yeah, I'd stated, you know, my interest in being on board some time ago as well, and it was, by the time I read the script, it was kind of a given that this was something that we were going to do, and so it wasn't. I don't think that there was ever a point where I jumped more on board or had an opportunity to back out.
She wanted a musical.
Where I not allowed to sing.
What do the two of you think is the secret to your very special chemistry when playing these characters as actors?
We've actually been having a 15-year affair.
Yeah, I don't know why in the beginning, you know, maybe just luck in the beginning. But, you know, after this long, we actually do have a history. So when I look over at Gillian, or, you know, when Mulder looking over at Scully, and yeah, there's a lot of shit that I can call on. You know, we have a lot, you know, between us. So you don't really have to make it up, you know. And I think that just as people, you know, now 15 years later, we have, you know, we've just shared so much, regardless of how much we speak to one another, that, you know, when I expect to see Gillian, even if I haven't seen her for a year. She wasn't listening anyway.
I just got stopped by. No, I got the whole thing. No, but I think I was really distracted on that.
You were? What were you looking at?
No, I wasn't. I
Looking
was
out the
listening
window.
to every
I don't
word
have a
you
window
said.
like you do.
Okay, you can tune out now. But whatever it is between us was there from the second we started working together, and I don't think it's not quantifiable. I don't think it's something that is unique, and yes, they got lucky, but it was something that Chris had seen, which is why he fought so hard. Specifically, this is something that's been written about a lot, but to cast me over somebody else, that he saw something between the two of us that was unique, and but we got, it is. We got it, whether it's luck or that we were meant to be with each other all along. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's chemistry in life, and there's acting chemistry. So, I'm not saying they're the same thing, but they're as mysterious.
Yes.
Does the fact that both of you have had children and are having children over the past 6 years or so, does that align you more with Mulder or Scully in terms of your personal philosophy?
I mean, when Scully had a child, I'd already had a child.
Gillian had a child the first year of the show.
I had a child when I was 3. But I think that in the series, from what I remember, Scully thought that she had a child early on in the series. Am I right? Yeah, Emily. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think that I would have been able to get there as an actor, not that I did do it realistically, because I can't really remember, but obviously that experience would have been informed by the fact that I was already a mother. And I'm sure that our conversations that we do have from time to time about this child that I gave away must be influenced by the fact that I've had children. But the show was not about maternal, it wasn't about parents. It wasn't about, so that they were actually anti-parents in a way.
But in terms of having your own children, does that make you more of a skeptic or a believer in miracles or a believer in absolutes?
That's interesting. I never related the two. Probably absolutes on mine.
It's miraculous, it's spiritual, it's otherworldly to have kids, so,
Somebody else's thing just
it's
turned
more
out.
Mulder, I think, but I don't know.
But then also, when you have kids, you also, when kids get sick or when family members, they're not just kids, but when there's death, and there's also absolutes, and that it can hit home at any stage of one's life, and
See, we're starting to
I'm
argue.
just I'm gonna talk. I don't know.
Well, when you play characters this deep for so long, and then it stops, how much of that stays with you for life? I mean, does it impact your personality some kind of way for life?
That's a very interesting question. I wouldn't know how to answer it. I mean, it impacts your life because strangers can see you that way, and I'll sit here and I'll answer questions about this fictional person. So it stays with me in that way. I wouldn't say that I ever get up and think of Mulder, unless I'm working on it. I think I liked a lot about the guy. When I played him, I liked a lot. I liked his courage, and I liked his energy to get to the truth and the quest and all that. And I think at one point I thought that I learned a little from that, like a fan might. I was a fan of the guy. So but that's as far as I go, saying that he lives in me.
I don't do things, mannerisms, and I think, oh, that was kind of like Scully.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I don't know how much of me today wasn't influenced by the fact that I got to play her for such a long time. It's possible that there are aspects of my, my seriousness or my independence or my inquisitiveness about the medical profession or science or something are somehow directly related to the fact that I lived with her for such a long time. But it's hard to qualify that. It's hard to say.
When Gillian operates on a human being.
That's when I'm reminded of that.